Hello BookTube, it's Ben here from the History Fella channel. In this video I'm going to start something a little bit new for me. I'm going to call it the Saturday Smash. Basically I'm going to do this every Saturday and then let people know what I've been reading, what I thought of the books, then also what I'm planning to read in the next week, and then be able to do the same the following Saturday, and just generally use this particular video as like a bit of about book news, maybe what I'm interested in, that sort of thing, and what I like to talk about or moan about, things like that. And or maybe what's happening in the news, what's happening around us today. But I'm quite good at moaning, so we'll probably get quite a bit of moaning in. Anyway, to start off with, I thought I finished this book last night. This is The Making of Horror, or Horror Movies. Key figures who established the genre, and that's written by Jennifer Sladeway, and it's published by White Owl Books. It's a fascinating read if you like your horror movies. There's not so much modern horror movie stuff in it. It tends to concentrate mainly on like the actors and big players of like yesteryear, so we're talking like 30s up to about the 70s, maybe 80s. For example, if I read you the contents, it's got Todd Browning, Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, and you've got Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, Roman Polanski, Christopher Lee. But they're kind of all like the big players that made the horror section in movies years ago and made it successful, or what it is today. And a little thing from the book is it tells you the people for each chapter, but then it has a little phrase afterwards. It's got like Todd Browning, go bite me. Bela Lugosi, Dracula is Hamlet to me. Val Luton, the Sultan of Shudders. Vincent Price, bring me a pendulum, kiddies. I feel like swinging. Peter Cushing, acting. You either can or you can't. You got Roman Polanski here, Pray for Rosemary's Baby. And Michael Reeves, and May God be with you till we meet again. So, but it's a really good book. It seems to be well written, well researched. I learned quite a bit about various actors, their films, why they did them, why they liked making them, that sort of thing. And it's a really good read. The only downside, I'd say, if you're into your horror movies now, or you'd like to learn more about horror movies, in the last sort of 10-20 years, there's not really much mention. It tends to be a bit old school, but it's a really good book and quite a good read. And I'm not really a fan of horror movies, but I enjoyed reading this. That's The Making of Horror Movies. Key figures who established the genre by Jennifer Sladeway, and that's by White Owl Books. The other book I've just recently read is I haven't got it with me because I've already lent it out to a friend to read, but she's well, she's reading that now. But it's about discovering Robin Hood, trying to track down who the real Robin Hood was. And she looks at a gentleman called Joseph Ritson, who she thinks is a strong candidate, and she gives you the reasons why and all that sort of thing, all the pros and cons. But it's a good read, although I tend to not like the things like Robin Hood and what's he called? King Arthur. I don't tend to like the more mythical things because I think it's kind of more guesswork and we're not actually sure whether some of these characters really happened or there's real evidence for them. But other than that, it's a very good book. I shall give you the details and show you the book probably at the end in the next video on next Saturday. Right, for what I'm going to be reading this week is I'm really looking forward to this one, Edward I and Wales, 1254 to 1307 by David Piling, and that's published by Pen and Sword Books. I'm getting really into my Welsh history, especially as I'm living here in Wales. So I'm really looking forward to this one and reading about Edward I and Wales. What happened, what went on, who he had struggles with. And there's also another Pen and Sword book, I think it's being published soon. Something like the Civil Wars of Wales. So I'm really looking forward to that one. On this one it says a radical reassessment of Edward I's wars with Wales, and crucially how he worked with the Welsh lords in the years after its conquest. So that really looks good to me. Right, the next book I'm planning to read this week is War Games, Terrains and Buildings, World War I Trench Systems, and that's written by Douglas Hardy and published by Pen and Sword Books. Basically it looks at the use of the trench system that came about during World War I in France and Belgium, and it tells you all about the pros and cons, all the good things, all the bad things, all the uses and the particular way they built them. And it looks at it in the form of building it as models as well, because you have these people that are into like their model making and producing their own specific battles and demonstrations and models. It says on the back, although it was a global conflict, for many World War I is synonymous with the war in the trenches of the Western Front. For anyone wargaming these battles, a good trench system is a must. Douglas Hardy is a very experienced wargamer and terrain modeller, a member of the Western Front Association, who has walked the battlefields many times. From the initial choice between standalone pieces on a mat or a fixed bespoke layout, throughout to final detailing, he shares his experience giving practical advice on building your own trench system. He considers the differences between British, German and French trenches, which differed in design and construction, as well as developments and defences through the phases of the war. A trench system is not just the trench itself, of course, but also the dugouts, barbed wire, entanglements, sandbags, gun emplacements and pillboxes. So, although from the cover It might not look much. It actually sounds quite interesting. And it's also got plenty of model photographs to explain itself. I'm not usually into model making or warcraft or war art or that sort of thing, but actually looks quite good. And hopefully I'm going to get onto this one. I'm also looking forward to this one. This is Deserters of the First World War, The Home Front, written by Andrea Hetherington, and that's published by Pen and Sword Books. I'm looking forward to this one because often you'd have soldiers, especially in World War One, would go AWOL and try and disappear or abandon their stations, sort of thing, just to try and get away. And people, they were accused of being absent without leave, and just deemed that they'd done this on purpose. But actually nowadays, with the advancement of medicine and psychological profiling and that sort of thing, we now know a lot more about things like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's kind of, well, it's easy now to understand why so many did seem to go mad or didn't want to fight, because the conditions and situations they found themselves in must have been absolutely horrendous. So I'm looking forward to this book and hoping to learn a lot more. That's Deserters of the First World War, The Home Front, by Andrea Hetherington, by Pen and Sword Books. And I think this book specifically looks at the soldiers that were deemed to be ill or something, and they were sent home, and it looks at the effect of them going back to their families and friends and jobs, and how their experiences of fighting in the war affected them and how it affected their families as well. So that looks really good. Anyway, I usually get quite a few history magazines. Two have come this morning, so I thought I might as well mention them. Just in case some of you get magazines as well and you might be interested. This one's called The History of War magazine. It comes out monthly. Like it says on the tin. Everything to do with like military history, this covers it. So in this month's edition we've got the Gurkha versus the Taliban, Helmand veteran interview, 80 years of the world's first special forces, the SAS, greatest escapes from Damien Lewis on daring World War II operations, toughest missions for the SAS, the 1980 embassy siege, one man versus two panzers, Medal of Honor heroism in 1944, the Palestine War of 47, and it looks at the Gato submarine inside America's First World War II sub. So that's really good. That comes out monthly, and it's priced, and you always put the price in very small print. That's priced at £6 a month, but it's a very good read. The second one that came this morning was this one, which is BBC History Revealed. This is another monthly one, priced at £5.50. Your Essential Guide to Life in Nazi Germany. Power, Propaganda and Persecution in Hitler's Third Reich. What if Elizabeth I had been assassinated? Top 10 Great Escapes. When Britain burned down the White House. Harry Edward, Britain's first black Olympic hero. And then we've got a question and answer part down the bottom, which it advertises. That's a really good book. Maybe not as good as the other one, because whereas the previous magazine is for those into military history, this one's kind of for your everyday person. It covers all sorts of history from, I think last month's was the suffragettes. Previous to that, I think it was Napoleon and Waterloo. But it's kind of, this tries to cover as many different types of history, but more for the everyman type of person or reader. I've also got this one. I picked this up over the week when I was travelling back from the mother-in-law's. Something to read in the car. This is Private Eye. It's not really a history one, but it's more political and news. It kind of looks at politics, Westminster, what's happening in the news, and kind of makes fun of it. In fact, it's famous for kind of taking the mickey out of MPs and Boris Johnson, anything politics really. In fact, it's usually being sued for some reason, but that's also a good read. That's Private Eye, and that's £2.50. Anyway, that's it. I won't have a moan today, I don't think. We've got the European. We've got the Euro football final tomorrow night. England against Italy. Come on, Italy. We really want Italy to win in this house. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this, the very first Saturday Smash. If you've enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought. Maybe you liked the magazines or a couple of the books you quite fancy reading. Let me know down below in the comments. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And I'm thinking in next week's video, I'll probably give something away. A book, as I have quite a few. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time, or in the next video. Thank you.